Have you ever felt like life's chaos is tearing you apart, leaving you lost in a storm of stress and doubt? You're not alone. We've all been there, grappling with moments that test our core. What if you could forge an unbreakable mind, one that thrives no matter what the world throws at you? In this video, we're diving into the alchemy of Stoicism and mindfulness, a powerful toolkit to transform your inner world. From Marcus Aurelius to modern icons like Elon Musk, we'll uncover how these philosophies build resilience, and we'll compare them with others, like Nietzsche's fiery existentialism and Lao Tzu's flowing Taoism, to spark new perspectives. Get ready for practical exercises, thought-provoking questions, and a journey to master your mind. This isn't just a video, it's a call to sculpt your soul. Hit subscribe, join the conversation, and let's forge a resilient life together. The alchemy of Stoicism and mindfulness, forging a resilient mind. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy, it's a forge where the raw iron of your soul is hammered into something unbreakable. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is the Stoics' creed, to master the inner citadel, to stand unshaken amid life's storms. But how do you hold that fortress when the world screams chaos? Enter mindfulness, the quiet art of anchoring your awareness in the now. It's not about escaping reality but diving into it, fully present, like a diver plunging into the ocean's depths, unafraid of the currents. Imagine Stoicism as a map, charting the terrain of a virtuous life: wisdom to discern, courage to act, justice to connect, temperance to balance. Mindfulness is the compass, guiding you step by step through the fog of distraction. Together they're a warrior's toolkit, not for conquering empires but for conquering yourself. As Elon Musk puts it, if you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise it's not. Stoicism and mindfulness align here. They demand you shape your perspective, not your circumstances. But why stop at Stoicism? Let's widen the lens. Compare this to Nietzsche's existentialism, which urges you to create your own meaning in a godless universe. Stoicism says, accept the world as it is and control your reaction. Nietzsche roars, reshape the world through your will. Both ignite resilience, but Stoicism tempers the ego while Nietzsche inflames it. Or take Buddhism's detachment. Mindfulness is its heartbeat, shedding desire to end suffering. Stoicism, though, doesn't flee desire, it redirects it toward virtue. Which path resonates with you? Are you crafting meaning, mastering reaction, or dissolving attachment? Picture General Patton charging through battle with unyielding focus, embodying stoic courage. Accept the challenges so that you can feel the exhilaration of victory. Now contrast this with Lao Tzu's Taoism, flowing like water, yielding to obstacles yet carving canyons over time. Stoicism stands firm. Taoism adapts effortlessly. Both teach resilience, but one's a fortress, the other a river. Ask yourself, do you resist life's blows or flow with them? The answer reveals your core. Mindfulness amplifies Stoicism by grounding these choices in the present. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters." Mindfulness trains you to pause, to observe your thoughts like clouds passing over a mountain. When anger flares, mindfulness whispers, "This is just a sensation. You don't have to act." It's the Stoic's secret weapon, turning philosophy into action. Contrast this with Aristotle's eudaimonia, the pursuit of flourishing through balanced habits. Aristotle builds a life of virtue over decades. Stoicism and mindfulness demand it now, in this breath. Which calls you louder, the long game or the immediate stand? Let's get visceral. Imagine you're Seneca, exiled to a barren island, stripped of wealth and status. The world betrays you, yet you write, "There is no need to complain about fate, it is enough to face it." Mindfulness fuels this defiance, letting you sit with pain without becoming it. Now juxtapose this with Sartre's existential anguish, where freedom is a curse because you're condemned to choose. Stoicism says, choose well within your control. Sartre says, choose and bear the weight of a meaningless world. Feel the tension? It's a spark to ignite your reflection. What's heavier, mastering your mind or wrestling with infinite freedom? Here's a challenge. Next time life hits you, traffic, a rude coworker, a broken plan, pause. Ask, what can I control? Then breathe, notice your pulse, your thoughts racing. That's mindfulness meeting Stoicism. It's not passive, it's power. As Angela Duckworth says, grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. Stoicism and mindfulness are your training ground, building grit one mindful moment at a time. Now let's flip the script. Stoicism's critics call it cold, suppressing emotion like a machine. Hedonism, from Epicurus to modern-day thrill-seekers, counters, chase pleasure, avoid pain. But Stoicism doesn't deny joy, it refines it, rooting happiness in virtue, not fleeting highs. Mindfulness deepens this, letting you savor a meal or a sunset without clinging. Hedonism's a sugar rush, Stoicism's a slow-burn fire. Which fuels you longer? Zoom out further. Kant's deontology demands duty above all, a rigid code of right and wrong. Stoicism's more flexible, prioritizing inner alignment over external rules. Yet both share a North Star, integrity. Mindfulness sharpens your awareness of that compass, catching when you stray. So, what's your guide, duty, virtue, or something else entirely? And here's the kicker. If you had to face Marcus Aurelius, Nietzsche, and Lao Tzu in a room, whose philosophy would you defend? What? This isn't just theory, it's a call to arms. Stoicism and mindfulness don't promise a perfect life. They promise a life you can face, unbowed. As Jordan Peterson warns, you're going to pay a price for every bloody thing you do and everything you don't do. So choose your price. Will you pay for distraction or for discipline? For fleeting pleasure or enduring strength? Like a sculptor chiseling marble, every choice shapes your soul. What statue are you carving? The mirror of mindfulness, reflecting Stoic self-awareness. Self-awareness is the Stoic's torch, illuminating the shadows of your inner world. It's not just knowing who you are but seeing through the fog of emotion, habit, and impulse to act with unshakable purpose. Seneca nailed it, no man is good by chance. Virtue is a skill. Mindfulness sharpens that skill, turning the mind into a polished mirror, reflecting your thoughts without distortion. But what happens when you hold that mirror up? Are you ready to face what you see? Picture this. You're in a heated argument, words like arrows ready to fly. The Stoic in you whispers, you control your tongue, not their opinion. Mindfulness is the pause that makes it real. A breath, a moment to notice the heat in your chest, the racing pulse. It's not suppression, it's power. As Oprah Winfrey says, the greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude. Mindfulness hands you that lever, letting you shift from reaction to intention, aligning with Stoic virtue. Now let's stretch the canvas. Compare this to Confucianism, where self-awareness blooms through ritual and social harmony. Confucius taught that knowing yourself means understanding your role, son, friend, citizen, and acting with propriety. Stoicism, though, strips away the external, focusing on the inner compass of virtue. Mindfulness bridges them. It grounds you in the moment, whether you're navigating a family dinner or a personal crisis. So, what anchors you more, inner clarity or social duty? And what happens when they clash? Or take the raw intensity of General Eisenhower, who said, "In preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable." Stoic self-awareness is that planning, knowing your triggers, your weaknesses so you're ready when life's battles hit. Mindfulness is the drill sergeant, training you to spot anger or fear before they derail you. Contrast this with Schopenhauer's pessimism, where self-awareness reveals a world driven by blind, insatiable will. Stoicism says, master your will. Schopenhauer sighs, good luck. Which lens feels truer to you? Are you fighting for control or wrestling with futility? Here's a gut punch exercise. Next time you're tempted to snap, maybe your boss emails you at 10 p.m., try the Stoic spotlight. Pause for 10 seconds. Feel the irritation, name it, then ask, is this worth my peace? Can I respond with wisdom instead? Write down what you discover. This isn't just a trick, it's a forge hammering impulse into discipline. As Brené Brown puts it, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Mindfulness makes that ownership real, letting you rewrite your reactions in Stoic ink. Now, pivot to Epicureanism, which seeks self-awareness to maximize pleasure and minimize pain. It's a softer mirror reflecting what feels good, not what's right. Stoicism demands you face the hard truths, your flaws, your limits, and grow through them. Mindfulness, again, is the tool. It lets you observe desire without chasing it, anger without feeding it. Imagine Epictetus and Epicurus in a cage match. One says, endure for virtue. The other, pivot to joy. Who wins in your arena? And why? Let's get vivid. You're stranded like Robinson Crusoe, alone with your thoughts. Stoic self-awareness, fueled by mindfulness, is your island map, showing you what you can control, your resolve, your focus. Without it, you're lost in the jungle of emotion. Compare this to Sartre's existentialism, where self-awareness is a double-edged sword. You're free to define yourself, but that freedom is a burden. Stoicism lightens the load, saying, focus on what's yours, your choices. Mindfulness sharpens that focus, grounding you in the now. So ask yourself, is freedom a gift or a weight? How do you carry it? Here's the twist. Self-awareness isn't always comfortable. It's like staring into the sun, blinding, sometimes painful. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius journaled nightly, dissecting his day, his faults, his progress. Mindfulness fuels that rigor, catching the moments you slip into envy or pride. Contrast this with Zen Buddhism, where self-awareness dissolves the self entirely, merging you with the moment. Stoicism builds a stronger self, Zen unravels it. Which path pulls you? Do you forge your identity or let it go? This is no armchair philosophy, it's a battle cry. Mindfulness and Stoicism don't just teach self-awareness, they demand you wield it. As Dwayne Johnson roars, success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Every mindful pause, every Stoic reflection, is a step toward that consistency. But here's the real question. What's hiding in your mirror? And do you have the guts to look? The crucible of emotional resilience, Stoicism and meditation. Emotional resilience is the Stoic's armor, forged in the fires of life's chaos. It's not about dodging pain but standing tall when the arrows fly. Epictetus cut to the bone, you don't control what happens but you control how you meet it. Meditation is the anvil where this truth is shaped, hammering your mind into something steady, unyielding, like a lighthouse enduring a hurricane. But what does it take to build that strength? And what happens when you test it against other philosophies? Imagine your world crumbling, a job loss, a betrayal. The Stoic doesn't flinch, not because they're cold, but because they've trained to see the storm and choose calm. Meditation builds this muscle, slowing the pulse of panic, letting you breathe through the tempest. As Serena Williams says, every champion was once a contender that refused to give up. Meditation is that refusal, a daily practice of facing your inner noise and choosing clarity over collapse. Now widen the frame. Compare Stoicism's resilience to Hinduism's concept of karma yoga, where emotional strength comes from selfless action, detached from outcomes. The Stoic anchors resilience in personal virtue. The karma yogi finds it in surrendering to duty. Meditation serves both, grounding you in the present whether you're mastering your mind or serving a higher purpose. So, what fuels your strength, inner control or cosmic surrender? And what happens when you lean too far into one? Or picture General MacArthur, who declared, "We are not retreating, we are advancing in another direction." Stoic resilience is that pivot, refusing to be broken by defeat. Meditation trains you to see setbacks as fleeting, like clouds over a mountain. Now contrast this with Kierkegaard's existential leap of faith, where resilience springs from embracing the absurd, trusting in something beyond reason. Stoicism builds a fortress of logic. Kierkegaard dives into the void. Which calls to you, reason's anchor or faith's plunge? And how do you stand when both feel true? Here's a Stoic meditation to forge your resilience. The fortress within. Sit in silence, eyes closed, and visualize a stone castle at your core. Each breath reinforces its walls. When a worry, say a looming deadline, tries to breach it, name it, then let it dissolve like mist. Ask, does this threaten my virtue? Can I act with wisdom despite it? Spend 5 minutes here daily. This isn't escape, it's defiance. As Malala Yousafzai says, we realize the importance of our voices only when we are silenced. Meditation amplifies that voice, keeping it steady when life tries to drown it out. Now, pivot to utilitarianism, Bentham's calculus of pleasure and pain. It builds resilience by minimizing suffering for the many, not just yourself. Stoicism, though, roots resilience in personal integrity, even if the crowd disagrees. Meditation sharpens this focus, letting you tune out external noise, social media, gossip, and hear your own moral compass. Imagine Seneca facing a jeering mob, unshaken, versus a utilitarian weighing the crowd's applause. Who stands stronger? And where do you draw your line? Let's paint a scene. You're a sailor in a squall, waves crashing, masts splintering. Stoic resilience, honed by meditation, is your steady hand on the helm, knowing you can't tame the sea but can steer true. Compare this to Nietzsche's Amor Fati, loving your fate, embracing every wave as part of your story. Stoicism endures. Nietzsche dances with the storm. Meditation fuels both, rooting you in the moment's raw reality. So, do you brace against life's blows or twirl with them? What's the cost of each? Here's the gut check. Resilience isn't numb. It's feeling the pain, grief, rage, fear, and choosing to act with courage anyway. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and mourner, wrote through his losses seeking wisdom. Meditation lets you do the same, observing sorrow without becoming it. Contrast this with cynicism, Diogenes spitting on convention, finding strength in rejecting society's rules. Stoicism polishes the self, cynicism discards it. Which path sparks your fire, refining your soul or burning the world's script? This is your challenge. Tomorrow when life tests you, a missed flight, a harsh word, pause. Meditate for 3 minutes just breathing, asking, what can I control? How can I respond with strength? Write the answer. That's Stoicism in action, meditation as its blade. As Tim Ferriss says, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. So why let your mind be the storm? Resilience isn't born, it's built. What's your crucible forging today? The compass of virtue, mindful living as Stoic practice. Stoic virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, temperance, are not abstract ideals, they're the scaffolding of a life worth living. They're the North Star for a soul navigating the wild seas of existence. Mindfulness is the sextant, keeping you present, steering your actions toward those virtues with precision. Seneca put it sharply, what need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. Yet, through mindful living you don't just endure, you build a life that shines. But how do you make virtue your reflex? And what happens when you weigh it against other paths? Picture a moment of choice, your colleague takes credit for your work. Anger surges, urging you to lash out. Mindfulness catches it like a net snaring a wild beast. You pause, breathe, and ask, what does justice demand? Instead of venom, you choose a calm confrontation, fair but firm. This is Stoicism in motion, virtue made real through presence. As Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high. Mindfulness ensures you stay high, acting with integrity when the world tempts you to sink. Now let's broaden the horizon. Compare Stoicism's virtues to Aristotle's golden mean, where excellence lies in balancing extremes, courage between cowardice and recklessness, generosity between stinginess and extravagance. Stoicism's virtues are absolute, a rigid frame for action. Aristotle's are fluid, tailored to context. Mindfulness serves both, sharpening your awareness to hit the mark, whether it's Stoic justice or Aristotelian balance. So, what guides you, unbending principles or a sliding scale? And how do you know when to bend? Or take General Patton's fierce resolve. A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week. Stoic courage, fueled by mindfulness, is that violent execution, not of war but of virtue. It's choosing the hard right over the easy wrong, whether speaking truth or resisting temptation. Contrast this with Spinoza's rationalism, where virtue flows from understanding the universe's mechanics, not moral grit. Stoicism demands action. Spinoza seeks insight. Mindfulness grounds both, but which pulls you harder, doing good or knowing truth? Try this Stoic exercise, the virtue anchor. Each morning pick one virtue, say temperance. Throughout the day when faced with a choice, another drink, a Netflix binge, pause for 10 seconds. Feel the impulse, then ask, does this serve temperance? What would a disciplined response look like? Act on the answer. This isn't restraint for its own sake, it's sculpting your character chip by chip. As Kobe Bryant said, great things come from hard work and perseverance. No excuses. Mindfulness makes that work deliberate, aligning you with Stoic ideals. Now, pivot to Jainism, where ahimsa, nonviolence, is the ultimate virtue, extending even to thoughts. Stoic justice includes fairness to others, but Jainism stretches further, demanding harmlessness to all life. Mindfulness sharpens both, catching a cruel word before it lands, or a selfish act before it harms. Imagine Marcus Aurelius and Mahavira debating. One says, act justly within your control. The other, harm nothing ever. Whose virtue feels heavier? And could you live by either? Let's paint a scene. You're a blacksmith forging a blade, your soul. Each mindful choice is a hammer strike, shaping courage when you face fear, wisdom when you seek truth, justice when you uplift others, temperance when you resist excess. Compare this to Hobbes' social contract, where virtue is obedience to mutual survival, not personal excellence. Stoicism forges a blade for its own sake, Hobbes sharpens it for society's. Mindfulness hones your craft either way, but ask, are you forging for yourself or the collective? What's the sharper edge? Here's the twist, virtue isn't easy. It's a climb up a jagged cliff, not a stroll. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus, once a slave, lived free through discipline, choosing virtue over victimhood. Mindfulness makes that choice real, catching when you slip toward laziness or spite. Contrast this with hedonism's pursuit of pleasure as the highest good. Stoicism builds a life of meaning. Hedonism chases a life of feeling. Mindfulness lets you taste both but forces a question. What's worth more, fleeting joy or lasting purpose? This is your gauntlet. Today, when life tempts you to stray, gossip, procrastination, indulgence, pause. Run the virtue check. Is this wise? Brave? Just temperate. Adjust your course. Write down one choice you made differently. That's Stoicism, alive and breathing. As Elon Musk says, I think it's possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. Mindful living is that choice, making virtue not a theory but a fire in your bones. So, what's your next strike shaping? The art of release, Stoic detachment through mindfulness. Letting go is the Stoic's alchemy, turning the lead of attachment into the gold of freedom. It's not apathy but a fierce clarity, slicing through the chains of what you can't control. Seneca's words sting with truth. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Mindfulness is the blade that cuts those imagined chains, teaching you to release the grip of worry, grudge, or fate's whims. But what does it mean to truly let go? And how does this art stack up against other philosophies? Imagine you're betrayed, a friend's lie stabs deep. The urge to cling, to anger, to revenge, burns hot. Mindfulness steps in, a cool stream, urging you to notice the pain without feeding it. You breathe, see the betrayal as a leaf on the wind, and let it sail beyond your grasp. This is Stoic mastery, not denying the wound but refusing to let it own you. As Beyoncé says, the most alluring thing a woman can have is confidence. Letting go isn't weakness, it's confidence in your inner strength. Now zoom out. Compare Stoicism's detachment to Advaita Vedanta, where letting go means dissolving the illusion of a separate self, merging with the universal. Stoicism releases external burdens to preserve your virtue. Vedanta releases the ego itself. Mindfulness fuels both, anchoring you in the moment, whether you're shedding a grudge or the myth of I. So, what do you cling to most, your pain or your identity? And what would happen if you let either slip? Or picture Admiral Nelson at Trafalgar, mortally wounded yet calm, commanding until his last breath, "Thank God I have done my duty." Stoic letting go is that calm, accepting death, defeat, or chaos while focusing on what's yours, your duty, your virtue. Mindfulness trains this focus, letting fears drift like smoke. Contrast this with Marx's materialism, where letting go of personal woes fuels collective struggle. Stoicism frees your mind, Marxism redirects it to history's gears. Which battle feels truer, inner peace or outer revolution? And can you fight both? Try this Stoic practice, the release ritual. Each evening, sit quietly for 3 minutes. Call to mind one thing you're holding onto, a worry about tomorrow, a slight from yesterday. Picture it as a stone in your hand. Feel its weight, then open your fingers, let it fall. Ask, is this mine to carry? Does it serve my virtue? If not, release it. This isn't avoidance, it's liberation. As Denzel Washington says, at the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you've accomplished. It's about who you've lifted up, who you've made better. Letting go lifts you, freeing space for what matters. Now shift to Epicureanism, where letting go means shedding fears of death or gods to savor simple pleasures. Stoicism's release is sterner, prioritizing virtue over comfort, accepting pain if it aligns with wisdom. Mindfulness sharpens both, helping you notice attachments, whether to fear or indulgence, and let them pass. Imagine Seneca and Epictetus locked in debate. One says, endure for virtue. The other, release for peace. Whose freedom tempts you more? And what's the price of each? Let's conjure a scene. You're a kite, tethered to the ground by ropes of regret, anxiety, fate. Stoic detachment, honed by mindfulness, is the scissors, cutting each rope until you soar. Compare this to Camus' absurdism, where letting go means embracing life's lack of meaning, finding joy in defiance. Stoicism seeks control within limits. Camus laughs at the limits themselves. Mindfulness grounds both, but ask, do you rise by mastering your ropes or dancing with their absurdity? Here's the raw truth, letting go is painful. It's not floating leaves, it's tearing roots from soil. The Stoics embraced this pain. Epictetus, born a slave, let go of freedom's illusion, finding power in his mind. Mindfulness makes this real, letting you face loss without breaking. Contrast this with Platonism, where release means transcending the physical for eternal forms. Stoicism stays grounded, Plato ascends. Which pulls you, Earth's grit or the heavens' glow? And how do you balance both? This is your summons. Tomorrow when you're stuck, on a delayed flight, a cutting remark, pause. Practice the drift meditation. Visualize the frustration as a cloud, dissolving in a vast sky. Ask, can I control this? Is it worth my soul? Let it go. Journal the moment. That's Stoicism alive. As Ryan Holiday says, the obstacle is the way. Letting go isn't surrender, it's clearing the path. What's your obstacle and are you ready to release it? The unbreakable mind, crafting Stoic resilience with mindfulness. Resilience isn't just enduring life's blows, it's forging a mind that dances through the fire, unshaken, alive with purpose. Stoicism builds the blueprint. Live with virtue, master what's yours. Mindfulness is the crucible, tempering your thoughts, making that blueprint real. Marcus Aurelius carved it in stone. If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it. But how do you craft a mind that thrives, not just survives? And what happens when you test it against other philosophies? Picture yourself facing a crisis. A project fails, deadlines loom. The world presses in, but mindfulness anchors you, a deep breath pulling you back to now. Stoicism steps up, whispering, focus on your effort, not the outcome. You act with clarity, not chaos. This is resilience, not as a shield but a sword, cutting through doubt. As LeBron James says, you have to be able to accept failure to get better. Stoicism and mindfulness make failure a forge, not a grave. Now expand the view. Compare Stoicism's resilience to Stoics' rival, Pyrrhonism, where peace comes from suspending judgment, embracing uncertainty. Stoicism builds a fortress of conviction. Pyrrhonism floats on doubt's waves. Mindfulness sharpens both, grounding you in the moment whether you're standing firm or letting questions drift. So, what steadies you more, certainty in virtue or freedom in not knowing? And what's the cost of choosing one? Or take General Schwarzkopf, storming through Desert Storm. The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. Stoic resilience is that sweat, training your mind through daily practice, meditation, reflection, to face life's battles. Mindfulness is the drill, keeping you present, honing focus. Contrast this with Heidegger's existentialism, where resilience means confronting being itself, dwelling in the anxiety of existence. Stoicism conquers the moment, Heidegger wrestles eternity. Which fight calls you, today's challenge or life's mystery? And can you face both? Here's a Stoic practice, the Resilience Forge. Each day pick a small obstacle, traffic, a tough email. Pause, meditate for 2 minutes focusing on your breath. Then ask, how can I meet this with wisdom? What virtue applies? Act on it, maybe patience, maybe courage. Journal the outcome. This isn't just coping, it's sculpting a mind that bends but never breaks. As Ariana Grande says, there's always tomorrow and it always gets better. Mindfulness and Stoicism make that tomorrow yours, built on today's grit. Now shift to pragmatism, Dewey's philosophy of adapting through experience. It crafts resilience by testing ideas in life's lab, not chasing absolute virtue. Stoicism demands a moral core, pragmatism pivots with results. Mindfulness fuels both, keeping you aware of the moment's demands. Imagine Epictetus and Dewey in a showdown. One says, hold fast to virtue. The other, adapt to what works. Whose resilience runs deeper? And where do you stand when ideals meet reality? Let's paint a vivid scene. You're a tree in a storm, roots deep, branches swaying. Stoic resilience, grown through mindfulness, is your trunk, firm, grounded in virtue. The winds, loss, fear, failure, howl but you stand. Compare this to Taoism's Wu Wei, where resilience is a reed, bending effortlessly with the gale. Stoicism roots you, Taoism flows. Mindfulness lets you choose your stance but ask, do you stand tall or yield soft? And what strength lies in each? Here's the raw edge, resilience isn't pretty. It's forged in sweat, in moments you want to quit. The Stoics lived this. Seneca faced exile, yet wrote of joy in adversity. Mindfulness makes it possible, rewiring your brain to see obstacles as opportunities. Contrast this with utilitarianism, where resilience serves the greatest good, not personal virtue. Stoicism builds you, utilitarianism builds the world. Mindfulness hones your focus either way, but what's your aim, self-mastery or collective gain? And why not both? This is your charge. Tomorrow when life snarls, a rude stranger, a missed goal, pause. Try the Stoic reset. Breathe deeply for 30 seconds, then ask, what's in my control? How can I thrive here? Then write it down. That's resilience, not as a gift but a craft. As Gary Vaynerchuk roars, You're not lost, you're just in the process. Stoicism and mindfulness are your tools. What mind are you building and what's stopping you? Stoicism and mindfulness aren't just ideas, they're your forge for crafting a mind that thrives through any storm. You've got the tools. Pause, reflect, act with virtue. Now take the challenge, start today, whether it's a 5-second breath or a virtue check-in. Shape your soul one choice at a time. Don't just watch, join the journey. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay in the fight for resilience. Share your progress in the comments. Let's build this community of unbreakable minds together. Keep forging, and I'll see you in the next video.